Welcome to the Confidence in Singing podcast, where you can reclaim your voice and rediscover the joy of singing. I'm Aideen, and my guests include singers and voice experts who share their insights and journey to encourage singing for health, happiness, and fun. To support this podcast and join the Confidence in Singing community, just click on the Patreon link below. Welcome to the Confidence in Singing podcast. My name is Aideen. Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening. My guests today are Tara Novak and Ciarán Nagle. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.
A pleasure.
Nice to be here.
Let me introduce you a little bit and you guys can fill in then any extra details about yourselves. I'm absolutely honoured that you guys are on the show. I've known you both for quite a long time and I've been following your music, and so it's really wonderful to have you guys on the podcast today. I'm just going to read out a little bit of your bios and we'll go from there. So Ciarán Nagle is a founding member of the internationally recognised Three Irish Tenors, with whom he toured for nearly 2 decades. He's now focusing mainly on solo work and performing with his wife Tara in a trio. Yeah, that's her, if you're watching the video. Tara is a classical violinist and composer turned pop singer and songwriter, performed for years with top acts such as Riverdance, Three Irish Tenors, Disney's Aladdin, etc., and is now primarily writing and performing original songs. She has 4 singles out and another is releasing very soon. With her husband, Tara also performs with their contemporary Irish folk band Ishna. And Ishna, I have to say, is a wonderful project that you guys are working on. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ishna is a project that is born out of love. So many years, we've been touring and performing other people's music and different styles according to what's popular demand. Even the Three Irish Tenors was, something kind of that was, again, it was this product that was of the moment. And we wanted to do something that fused our love of classical music, our love of Irish music, our love of Americana, and how all those fused together and create something that was uniquely ours, that spoke of our deep passion and love for all the musical genres that we enjoy in our life, and to enjoy to the fullness our company and the dynamic that we have on stage, which is something that is just really unique.
Absolutely. And I love when, partnerships like, married couples or partners in life do music together, because there is something special when two people, they love music, but they also love each other. And I don't know, when I heard you two guys performing with Ishna and I heard those types of songs and the types of arrangements that you did, I was mesmerized and enthralled and enchanted. So I love what you guys are doing with it. But tell me when Ishna began and how Tara and yourself kind of worked together on that.
So we started Ishna in 2009, and it's actually it's morphed as our relationship has, and as our own taste in music has changed. So it really started as like a Celtic rock project. We wanted something that wasn't Three Irish Tenors, that wasn't classical, but still we could use like orchestration and great arrangements within it, just with like more contemporary grooves. As we have like been together longer and our taste in music have changed a bit, etc., Ishna has evolved too, and it's more of a contemporary Irish folk band now rather than Irish rock. Still has a lot of that groove-based stuff, but instead of a drum kit, it's world percussion, and the percussion is doing a lot of the bass line stuff as well. And we've added guitar and all sorts of mandolin and all sorts of other sort of folk instruments to it. So
that sounds really great. Yeah, that sounds really great. So tell me a little bit about your journeys with singing. So Ciarán, you were a founding member of the Three Irish Tenors. I mean,
yeah,
when did you start singing with Feis Ceol? I'm kind of guessing. In Ireland, we have like a competition every year. All the kids learn their traditional Irish tunes or Irish dancing or different Irish instruments like the tin whistle. And there's like you perform and compete as you get older. That's where a lot of the great Irish dancers, they find out whether whether that's their passion and to get them to that level. What brought you through?
Really early age. I mean, I knew from, as early 6, 7 years of age that music was just in my DNA. It was just an integral part of who I was. And I would just lock myself in my room and just listen endlessly to whatever music was playing. And I was really fortunate. Both my parents had a great, great love of music, of every genre, from classical to jazz and everything in between. So we were really exposed to that. My dad, we would play these games in the car, recognize the singer, recognize the song, what style is that? And we'd all be singing along to all these different songs. And when I went to school proper at the age of 7, I went to a school called Willow Park School in Blackrock. And they've a great tradition for music and music education. And part of that, they have a school choir, and then they would put on these productions, operetta productions every year. And I was mesmerized by these. I thought they were just fabulous. And our music teacher was a priest by the name of Father Dowling. And I have rarely met a human being to have as much love and passion for music than this man. And his classes, he would play. I remember him playing Mozart's The Magic Flute, for example, and him describing the characters and the characterization through instruments in a way that was just profound, and it just struck all my imagination. It was my Harry Potter. It really was. And so I was determined to get into singing, and he had auditions for the choir, which I auditioned for at the age of 7, and I failed. I didn't pass my audition. I was just crestfallen because it was everything to me to be in this. And he took me aside and he said, look, you have a really sweet voice, but you're just not ready. It's just not ready yet to be in the choir. And I'd like to help you make that step. And he did. And he taught me, he gave me some lessons. He took me under his wing, and I practiced like crazy, like a maniac. And the next audition, I got in. And he continued to keep me under his wing and build my confidence and teach me the basics of how to stand up and perform. And eventually, got me to a point where I was getting principal roles in these operettas. And his tutelage and guidance, and in that early stage of my life, teaching me a self-confidence that I would never, ever otherwise have. I would not be the person that I am today, nor would I be the musician or singer without that influence in that moment in my life. And from then I knew it was always going to be part of me.
That's wonderful. And it's so important that I think sometimes, adults, when they start to learn to sing or they admire singers, they think that it's just some God-given gift. Like, I know you had definitely an interest and possibly some talent from a young age. But when we get that interaction with music, when a parent is asking us, what do you hear? Which singer is that? All those things create that they're all a way of studying and learning. I mean, I learned from listening to TV shows. Like, I learned the theme song to Skippy. I can still sing. Like, nobody here in the US knows what that is, but it's basically like Lassie, but with a kangaroo from Australia, where the kangaroo solves crimes.
It's the best.
It was amazing. So never underestimate having fun with music, listening more intently, joining in, and encouraging your children to do the same is so important. And that idea as well of that you did an audition, but that even the Father Dowling said, you're just not ready. And I think sometimes we get told, if we don't sing really well at a young age, that you're just not a singer, that you're no good.
Right.
Which is very sad.
And you make a lot of points there. It's terrible. I mean, I think everybody should sing, whether you have the voice of Pavarotti or the voice of your pet dog. Everybody should sing. It's so important. People are so shy or embarrassed that you're not going to be brilliant. You watch TV and everybody who goes on TV, these live shows, sing shows, everybody's a superstar. Everybody's amazing. The production values are amazing. How about it's just great fun? How about we sit around the fire and roar out a song totally out of tune because it just is such fun? How about that?
And when it comes from the heart, it's really, there's something very special about someone in a room with you singing a song. And when you can feel that they mean it. And I prefer to listen to someone do that than listen to any top singer on a recording, because there's an energy then. It creates magic.
Right. I'll give you an example. I mean, just recently when I was back in Ireland, this past September, and I was out with a group of guys from the States and touring around beautiful parts of Ireland, into Dingle Peninsula and all that. So we were in the town of Dingle, and I was there in their company to sing songs, tell stories, and kind of all that sort of stuff. And we'd end up in pubs and just start singing, right? And I would sing some songs and blah, blah, blah. But it was amazing to watch all the locals just join in. So one night, just total randomers, just total strangers out of nowhere coming into the room, opening their mouths and singing songs, telling stories, reciting poetry out of nowhere.
But you see, they understood something. And in Ireland, because it's quite recent, that, even television has come in. But in Ireland, we have this belief that everybody has something to say and everybody has something to give in an entertainment perspective, whether that's a poem. And what that teaches people and what they understand deeply is that their voice has value.
Right.
But they don't get that in America and a lot of other places.
No, I would agree with you. I think, I find it quite difficult being here on occasions where there are parties and all that sort of stuff. And there isn't that spontaneous want to just express yourself in that shape or form.
I'm so glad. Sorry, Tara, go ahead.
No, it was fine. On the spontaneous music, you were talking about parties. So we had a 40th birthday party for me in our barn here.
Happy birthday!
Hey!
It was a while ago, but hey.
2 weeks ago.
Yesterday, obviously. It was back when big groups of people could gather, and so we had many people in this barn, and Ciarán had set up all of these this sound system and a keyboard, and he had a guitar plugged in, and all this stuff just sitting there. And people kept asking us, "Well, when is the band showing up?" We all went, "Oh no, that's just there. Band. There is no band. That's just there for anyone who wants to make any music at any point." In true kind of Irish party style, most of the musicians that were there were from other parts of the world, and they had come up from Boston. And the music didn't really start until after 10 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Quite a few guests had left before that because they're like, "Oh, I guess no one's going to make any music." Okay. And then the reports went around our little town the next day that there had been music until the sun came up. And once the music started, everyone performed. Everyone jumped up and played something, sang something, and it was great. But it wasn't a performance. It wasn't a band. It was just like, "Oh, I want to share this song right now." So,
well, that's amazing. I'm so glad you gave people that experience.
Right.
Yeah. And again, Tara, sorry, go ahead, Ciarán, but I'm going to ask Tara now for her story of her beginnings as well in a second. Finish your thought though, Ciarán.
No, I was just saying that the concept of a sing song here is very different to what we've just been describing, where we'd be asked to come to somebody's house to perform a sing song. And you're going, that's not how it goes. It's not planned. It's well, just we're going to hire you, and you're going to come to this private event, and you're going to have a sing song for us.
Yes, we do.
So you have to. There's printed out books, and it's a very formal.
Oh, I've done something similar, but it's usually at Christmas.
Right. But hey, it's all good. It's
You know, we're educating people around the world to this new way of sharing something from the heart
right.
through music or through whatever you have. I mean, I would tell people you get your words and print it out in bold so that you
Right.
can have it in your pocket and you can check, you know, so that you don't have to be professional. You don't have to know everything, but you're prepared
So,
to share something. So let's come back
yeah.
to you, Tara.
Oh, okay.
Where
Finally,
did
my
your
turn.
love of
Sorry. I'll shut up.
No, but it's really great because we're talking about exactly the thing that I love talking about, which is that everybody's voice has value and that we can share something of ourselves. And when things open up a bit, obviously it'll be a bit easier. But Tara, you didn't grow up in Ireland. You're from Nebraska. I know that I don't know if singing was your first love or the violin, fiddle. Tell us about your journey with music and when you started to build confidence in your own musical ability.
So I was lucky. My parents are both musicians professionally. So I grew up in a house that was just full of music all the time, from piano lessons that my mom was teaching to choir rehearsals to my dad's band practicing or my older sisters practicing their instruments, etc. So I don't remember a time, honestly, when I didn't love music and when I didn't sing or didn't want. I've always wanted to be involved in music. And I sang and played violin equally from a very young age, and kind of all the way through high school. Um, and that was it, there was always this push and pull. I always had different teachers tell me, like, well, you can't be good at both, so you have to pick one and focus your time. And I always really fought that because I went, well, why can't I be good at both? Why can't I just do both? Why do I have to not sing if I want to play my violin? And then that battle continued in college, when again everyone told me I had to stop singing to focus on my violin. Eventually it moved me out of college. I left college because this division was too much for me. And I took a couple years off entirely and came back to everything. And that was the first time in my life with no music. I was 21 then. And at 23, I decided I was going to start playing again. And at that point, my focus just went to the violin. And I took orchestra auditions. I started playing in an orchestra. I moved to New York City. And my violin career sort of took off at that point, which I'm really grateful that it did. And it was maybe 10 years later, one day I sort of went, wait a minute, I haven't sang in forever. And so I started taking lessons with a teacher in Ireland, with Deirdre Masterson.
I know her.
Yep. And started working some vocals into our shows, and trying to find a reason to perform again. But at that point, then I had this new block, which was really interesting or difficult, however you want to think about it. I had reached a certain level or status as a violinist, and I was not very forgiving of myself as a singer to like make any mistakes and maybe not be that same level, even though I'd had years and years and years of performing as a soloist. And I was only just now stepping out on stage as a singer for the first time since like my teen years. And that made that very difficult. I'd be really
I think as
disappointed
adults,
if I would make a mistake. Yeah. You're terrified of making a mistake.
completely.
You know?
Oh, there's very few things that adults will take up like fresh at beginning. Like, you
Yeah.
know, we tend to stick to the skills that we did learn as kids. But what a lot of people forget that I try to remind them is that, you know, when we're kids, we are playful in our thinking. Our left and right brain works more together. We think more creatively, and we're very interested in the process. And we're not as focused on just that end product that we are supposed to be doing. We want to go to the singing class. We're not going, oh, if I don't do well at the singing class, you know, it's going to be bad later. We're not comparing and contrasting as much. So it can be really difficult to put aside our inner critic to do something like that. And I'm really pleased that despite that inner mental conflict, you persisted.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. And my whole life I've wanted to put out my own music and my own show, not Irish, like pop, folk, kind of a fusion of everything that I love in music. Um, and and that also has been a journey to work on writing songs, and to be able to allow myself to write maybe a terrible song, maybe a song I never want to sing in public at all, and that's okay. It doesn't have to. You could write a terrible song that's really funny that you sing over coffee at breakfast. Like that's good enough. That's what he does every day.
Oh yeah, we started singing in the car about the things that we're just doing at that particular moment. It's like being in a musical sometimes. We're driving,
exactly.
It's like Elf, I'm singing, I love my dad, so it's cute.
Yeah. So I think it's this long journey of learning to recognize your own strengths and believe in your own strengths, and to find like the own quirks about your own voice and the own idiosyncrasies, things that you aren't going to sound like Adele. You're not going to sound like Aretha Franklin. You're going to sound like you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can let go of any other, like maybe training that tried to put you in a certain, like make you sound like a certain way, or a certain classical singer or a certain pop or whatever, when you can really start just exploring, just enjoying singing with your instrument, I think it just opens up so much in the world.
Yes, I agree so much. And I think that's one reason. I mean, I definitely did a lot of choral stuff as a kid, and I like always sung my high notes a certain way. And it was only when I studied music in the US, I did speech level singing, that it was like, oh, that's how I can just sound like I'm speaking almost while it's speech level singing, because it sounds more like your speaking voice. So
Exactly.
there's a lot of value to exploring and trying and having a bit of fun with it, and pretending to be like this person or that person just to see what it feels like. So
Exactly.
what advice would you give to someone who's maybe has been a musician their whole life, or maybe has never done much music, but they're starting as an adult to try to sing?
Just have some fun with it. Put on some music you like and see if you can learn the song, see if you can sing along to it, see if you can sing it to someone and they recognize what song it is. Just enjoy it. It's important to have passion and joy in your singing.
Yeah. And follow your own.
I would echo that. I mean, really it is. I mean, it's our greatest expression of joy and emotion. It's not just joy, it's sadness, it's pathos, it's whatever you're feeling. And we really express that. We can express that in words, but the singing voice does it in a whole other way. And it's very cathartic. It's really cathartic.
Because it's your whole body. You're creating this depth of tone.
Right.
I think a lot of people are shut up as well. Like, not shut up, but they're told to be quiet a lot.
Right.
We're never really given permission to scream and yell the way some of us got the chance as kids.
Right. Right. And singing is an opportunity to that.
Well, and I would say that singing is essentially one of the first sounds that we as humans make. If you think about like babies' cries and et cetera, and all of the first sounds that like infants make, they're really closely akin to a lot of singing.
Right.
And it's just vocalization. It's pitched vocalization. And,
absolutely.
And your body is resonating that. And a baby doesn't think about like, do I have enough breath to scream? They just breathe and scream.
Yeah, you take this tiny little thing that makes the biggest sound in the world.
You know, and there's no fear. They just scream. So I think but it's this elemental, like base human thing that I think we all do. And it's so important to connect back to that.
Right.
Definitely. I call them primal sounds, actually. Like they're primal instinctive sounds, like like kind of like, that it's like a cry,
Yeah.
or you've got, hey, where you're able to shout it out the way you would to your friends at the other
Right.
side of the street. And kids
Right.
who have, some kids are obviously introverted versus extroverted. Some kids are going to naturally express their voices more, and some kids are naturally going to be a little more shy. But it depends a lot on that environment as well.
Yep. No two ways about that. And you said something kind of interesting as well. Kind of you emulate your stars, so you're in your bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, whatever it is, and you can be Bono for a moment. You take your wooden spoon and
Who's he?
Never heard me. Brutal. Or you can be Pavarotti, or you can be Joan Sutherland, or
someone more contemporary, Ciarán.
No, these are real stars.
They're real stars. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah, you could be Ed Sheeran.
Okay, there you go.
Adele, or whatever it is. I could be current. I'm not. The point is to have, you do take on a persona. You just be big, bold, and just laugh at yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself and enjoy it.
Exactly. That's really good advice. And I'm sure anybody's listening, just get into the car, somewhere where not that many people are going to notice you doing it, and have a laugh and have a bit of fun. And so, would you say that there's that singing has brought you on any kind of a personal development journey, like in terms of confidence in general or empowerment? How would you say, maybe I'd start with you, Tara, how do you feel that taking this journey with singing has brought you along as a person?
Oh, it's so interconnected. As you, I still study. I have voice lessons every week. So I continue. I think learning to connect my thoughts to my words, to these muscles and this whole, I use the word infrastructure, but I don't know, whatever you want to call it. To connect all of that is such an amazing gift as a human, to be able to do that. And I feel like we're never done on that journey. And I grew up very good at writing down my words. I wrote poetry since a kid, and I've written lots and lots of words, but I wasn't always good at speaking my mind. So that's all connected as well to singing and being confident in vocalizing. I feel like if you have confidence in your singing, in your performance, it just kind of spills over into everything feeling a little bit more connected, emotions, expression, etc. I don't think I summed that up very well.
I loved it. So, Ciarán, what would you say? Where has singing brought you?
It's brought me from being a most painfully shy individual, believe it or not, as a young kid. I was painfully shy.
To this guy who won't share the mic with me.
Hey! That's right. You got to work for it. You guys,
you need 2 mics now, in fairness.
That's right. But it has profoundly affected every part of who I am, without a question. In terms of just how to conduct yourself in a public crowd, how to socialize, how to publicly speak. So a lot of people that I would meet in the corporate world say, I'm terrified I'm going to stand up and make a Zoom call in front of 20 people, and I'm terrified. Or I've got to stand up in front of an audience of 10 or speak to the board of directors, and I'm terrified. And I would have been that person had it not been for my singing. There's no two ways about it, but I would not be the human being that I am today. And it's great. And I also find mentally, it brings you into a whole other headspace, a whole other world of meditation, of reflection. Some people get that out of exercise or running, hear about runner's highs and stuff like that. But when you're in a zone, when you're singing, you are just transported into a whole other world. And I find for your just mental state of great health, it's a great place to find yourself.
I would definitely agree, and I just love that message. That that singing, it is. I mean, first of all, when do people listen to you for a full 3 minutes at a time, unless you're giving a speech? So when we stand up to sing a whole song, we're basically asking people to give up their time for us, and we have to believe that that time is not going to be wasted. So we need to get to a point where we feel we can be almost like the boss of the room for that period of time. And I would say a lot to my students as well, that rather than focusing on, oh, I'm doing this, but more so, the song that I'm singing is about this, and I really believe this. I really believe in the message of this song, and choosing songs that resonate with you as a person, that are part of your soul. And that's where a lot of magic comes into that communication then with the listener, and that makes it worthwhile for anybody to listen to you for 3 minutes.
Right, I think that's the vital component. I think you need to truly and utterly get into the soul of a song, understand what that means to you, what the poetry in the song, what the music in the song mean to you, and express that honestly what it is to you. And you hear that from artist to artist. I mean, there are people with great voices and not so great voices.
Bob Dylan has a terrible voice, and he has some of the greatest song repertoire in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right there.
Sorry if I offended anyone who likes his singing.
But
this is it. But people do.
I mean, I like his singing.
Listen,
we do.
But that's what I mean.
Like
I like his singing for his personality and for his honesty of what he's saying. But he wasn't blessed with Pavarotti's voice.
Yeah, or even good pitch. So
no, none of that. But he doesn't care.
That's not what's important. It's the singing.
It is.
It's
the intention behind the singing.
Yeah, and I mean, he was a social activist as well. So his songs, what they spoke to was very current for the times, and people they got support from that. They felt understood by that. So there's a lot of great reason to sing a song. But if anybody's listening and you're not usually a singer, that's the key. Choose the song that matters. Choose the one that matters to you. And then other people will enjoy listening to that. And I would say also take some feedback. I do a jazz song called Skylark, and I would go to the pub and I sang it once, and that's the one that my friends would want me to sing again. I don't know exactly why that one is reaches them more than some other song that I do. But when something like that happens, there's something magical happening. If someone says, "Oh, please sing that song," like, how often do you get asked to sing something specific? They must like it.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
So tell me a little bit about the projects you both are working on at the moment. Ciarán, what are you doing right now?
So we are gearing up to booking concerts.
Amazing.
Finally. So it's super exciting time for our band Ishna. So we have our first Christmas shows since 2019.
First 6 shows booked since 2019.
Yeah.
I think we did 1 show in February 2020.
Yeah.
You got in just in time.
So that's it's really exciting. And it's really even more exciting that we're doing a big Christmas show in our little town of Peterborough in New Hampshire. So 18th of December, and that's super great. And so we're programming out that into the new year. So updating websites, social media stuff to go with that, getting our band together, knocking off the cobwebs, and getting into performance mode. So that feels really good. It's nice to be talking to promoters again, theaters again, in real terms. So that's super exciting.
Wonderful.
And it is also super exciting to watch Tara. For me, creatively, it's a beautiful thing to watch Tara write her album and her music and put it out into the world. So those 2 projects for me are it.
Are you contributing to Tara's project at all, Ciarán?
Moral
support. And
tell us more, Tara. Tell us about this new project.
So So I mentioned earlier, I always wanted to put out my own sound, but that's taken years of figuring out, like, well, I've spent so much time playing other people's music, and you become good at playing everyone else's music. You almost have to like peel away the layers of the onion to figure out what is your music. What if you can play this and you can play that and you can play that? What do you actually want to sound like if you don't have to sound like any of that? Which is both
liberating and terrifying.
And exactly. So that's been like a many-year process. Literally, when I met Ciarán, one of our first conversations was about this project, this future project of mine. He's like, well, what do you want to do? And this is what I talked about. And I was 25 then. So this has always been there. And then I reached a point where I went, well, if I don't just start doing it, it's not going to happen. So yeah, I just started writing. And I've slowly been piecing together a team of people around me, a producer, a co-arranger, a vocal coach, like a design team. Like, it's been a very slow process of piecing things together. And sometimes you find a piece and it's not the right piece. So it's also a very like self-exploration, like journey of going like, no, I don't like that. Oh, I do like that. Oh, I want it to look like this. So 7 songs for the album are done now, and we've got 3 more to go. So
congratulations.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
We're going to finish up now in a moment. I'd love to hear if you have anything else that you'd like to say to our listeners, and then tell us a little bit about the piece of music that I'm going to be playing at the end.
Well, I think the theme for today is Sing, America, Sing, right?
Sing, America, sing! Sing, please. At every given opportunity.
Not enough singing in the world.
Not enough singing in the world.
Definitely not in this country right now. Sing.
Wonderful.
It brings so much joy in every which way. Even if you bring people to tears. It's beautiful.
Still cathartic.
It is. That's it.
Perfect. That's
simple
fantastic.
Message.
And the song that you guys have chosen for me to play tonight is called, hang on, I wrote it down. Cúnla.
It's a traditional Irish.
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost.
It's the name of a ghost.
I have a witch on my shirt.
Perfect.
Today.
It's actually
see Halloween. Wow. It's the bewitching song. We had to choose it.
I need to make sure that this podcast goes out just before Halloween. Then
there you go.
It's a traditional Irish song. It's actually really kind of scary. It was a nursery song, like sung to put children to bed, which is really scary. It was like more like a threat than anything. It's like this ghost is knocking at the window and it's going to basically come get you if you don't go to bed. But Ciarán sings the song in Irish, so no one will know that the words are that scary. So
there you have
There's
it.
a lot of scary lullabies. That one, Rockabye Baby.
Yeah,
it's pretty scary as well.
That's true, exactly.
But Cúnla is a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great intermingle of vocal patter. So you're not just like doing this beautiful melodic line stuff. It's very much vocal patter. It's percussive. The band has a great opportunity to play along. So it's great interaction between the vocalist and the band.
It is one of these very interesting Irish songs that is both a standalone vocal song and a standalone traditional 5-part instrumental jig.
Okay.
So and that is very unusual to have this overlap of like it would come up in a session for instrumentalists and not be sung, or it could come up as a vocal tune. So we took both the instrumental version with all the extended parts and the vocal part and kind of interwove them together with all sorts of interesting like contemporary world percussion and different grooves and etc. So
wonderful. And you were involved in the kind of the arrangement, Tara, is that right?
Yes. I take irresponsibility for my band's arrangements.
And I'm presuming you're playing as well, your fiddle.
Yes, I'm playing fiddle as well.
Now that Tara is doing more singing might be a little bit more sympathetic towards singers, because up to now, the challenge is every arrangement for the vocalist, i.e. me, has been like, well, how difficult can I make this? How difficult how many words can I put into this? How fast can I make it go? How can I change the time signatures, etc., to make this just as difficult as possible?
I know that Tara studied jazz music, so that is a problem that jazzers tend to have, is they want to make everything sound cool. And you do have to...
And it is. She succeeds.
She what? Sorry, that again?
She succeeds. It's cool. It is cool.
It is cool. Well, I'm sure
it's
you're
not
up to the
always
challenge.
easy to sing.
That's it.
You're up to the challenge, and I'm absolutely delighted that you guys were able to come and meet me and do this podcast. Thank you to everybody who's been listening. Hope you feel encouraged to start trying something in your life. Sing, America, sing. And let us know what you think of the show, and just go for it. And like Tara was saying there, she has a vocal coach. Like, taking lessons is a great way to start, or starting in a choir, or just singing at home. And we would love to see more people singing, no matter what stage you're at with it. So coming up, we have Kunla, and it's by your group Ishna, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tara and Ciarán, for joining me tonight.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Aideen.
Yeah.
Sing,
bye-bye.
America, sing.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
There now knocking the window pane? Who is that there now knocking the window pane? Who is that there now knocking the window pane? It's only me, says Coola. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Coola. Who is that there now tickling the toes of me? Who is that there now tickling the toes of me? Who is that there now tickling the toes of me? It's only me, says Coola. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Coola. Who is that there now tickling the toys of me? Who is that there now tickling the toys of me? It's only me, says Coola. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Coola. Maybe I shouldn't, says Coola. the window pane? Who is that there? Now knocking the window pane. Who is that there? Now knocking the window pane. It's only me, says Coola. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Coola. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Coola dear, don't come any near to me. Maybe I shouldn't, says Coola.